All right, there we are, guys. We are live.
Hi, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Silver and Gold Collector and Stacker podcast. Today's going to be a little more of a random episode. Myself, Darren, and John are going to discuss some questions you may have, what I consider is the ugliest U.S. coin ever to be minted, or designed, I should say, and other random topics such as people selling overpriced bullion, uh, the weekly deals, and anything else that comes to mind. Darren, what do you have in mind?
I've already got a couple questions. People that were asking me some questions before we got the podcast started. I'm going to answer some of those as best as I can. Give everybody a few minutes to get into the podcast here and get joined in, and then we'll go from there.
All right, so to start with, I figure we'll start talking about this new 100th anniversary National Park Service 2016 Proof Silver Dollar. So if you folks haven't seen it, let me give you guys a quick look. I mean, it is just ugly. It is one ugly coin. I think it's supposed to be like a tree with a goat or buffalo at the bottom. I'm not even sure. What do you guys think?
I hate it, but I have to I have to be kind of a conservative, I guess, because I mean, how easy is it to draw a geyser? You know what I mean?
Oh, that's what that's supposed to be, is a geyser?
I believe so. Are we
Oh, that
talking about
makes
the same thing?
sense. Yeah, I just think maybe they should have picked a different subject matter. I mean, there's a lot of things in the national parks outside of the geysers, and
Absolutely. Here,
I mean,
I'm gonna pull it up on mine, and I'm gonna turn my camera on as a screenshot here.
oh,
And
perfect. Yeah, that'll give people a better view of it.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not
so
gonna lie. I think it looks like a diseased phallus upside down, but that's just me. I have a dirty mind. It's, I mean, the U.S. Mint has been minting coins for what, like 200 years, and this is the best we can do. I mean, Provident Metals comes out with better coins, or should we say rounds, every day or every week, and they're better designed. The quality's probably better in the minting process, and I just don't get why the U.S. Mint is so far behind everybody else. I mean, the Perth Mint just blows them out of the water.
absolutely. Okay, so here's the coin. You guys can see it here. Um,
I
yeah,
think
that's
if
supposed to be a geyser there. Can you see that, guys?
Yeah, could you zoom out just a little bit? Because it's like cutting off one of the sides.
How's that look? Any better?
Hasn't changed yet.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, there we go.
So yeah, you can kind of see it. You get the better idea of what they're trying to accomplish with the other side here. Talks about National Park Service, um,
Yeah,
but
but that geyser with Liberty, I mean, that's just terrible.
I think the lady on the front too is pretty not good looking too. I just feel like as a whole this thing is a flop.
Yeah, she's pretty
But
fugly.
in my opinion though, this could be if nobody's interested in it and the mintage is low, it could be a sleeper. Just thought.
Yeah, except everybody's gonna think that because it's so ugly, and we'll all be sitting on ugly coins that nobody actually wants.
All right.
Man, that this coin is like a two bag or maybe even coyote ugly. What do you think, John?
Uh, don't even touch it. Don't even touch it. It's not even a two bagger. Don't even touch
I'm kind of wondering
it.
if you buy this coin, you might catch a STD or something.
It should probably come up. It should probably come with penicillin. That's all I know.
Absolutely, at least a couple tablets. Preventive medicine, you
I
know.
would rather have. I would rather have an Max branded round than that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, at least those things are kind of
That's.
cool looking.
I mean, even an American the Beautiful, one of the 5 ounce, I could use it as a coaster. That's disgusting.
All right.
Yeah, your kid sees that coin, and you have to suddenly start explaining the birds and the bees.
Right. And I'm not trying to be jammed up and put into that position. any sooner than I have to be.
Right.
All right. We got 2 viewers now. I'm showing. Got a couple more coming in here.
Okay,
If you
cool.
guys have any questions, I just want to remind you guys that on the Google Plus side of this, you can ask questions there, and we see those show up in our Q&A panel. You can also ask those in the main Silver and Gold Stackers group on any of the threads mentioning this podcast, and I will get notifications of those and answer those as best as I can. I got one coming in. I got a couple of them that were asked before the podcast started by Jeremy Hench. Is this a good time to read these, Jake?
Uh,
Or
yeah, absolutely, Darren. If you want to read them, we'll start answering them.
okay. Jeremy checks in with us. He says he's 27 years old and he just started stacking about a month ago. He says, I only have about 15 ounces in poured bars. I've only purchased poured bars and all have come from Provident. So I'm sure you have an idea on the premium I'm paying. I stack only for long-term savings / investing. In your opinion, am I wrong for only buying poured bars? If I make profit in the long run, great, but I'm not a fan of losing money either. So what do you guys think of that?
Well, to start with, I mean, I think he's right in the middle. When you look at potentially just like straight bullion products, which are press bars, the generic APMEX bars, or you look at the numismatic side, which would be like Perth Mint or Mexican Libertads. I think he's making the mistake of going with poured bars. So it's kind of a specific thing. They have a little bit of a higher premium. And I don't know. I think he'd be better off just finding whatever silver product has the lowest DCA dollar cost average and sticking with that. Or at the same time, buying some stuff from the Perth Mint. I suggest the 2016 10-ounce Kookaburra is really nice. I have a couple of them myself. I really love that coin. I think it's going to do well. The Kookaburras have always treated me well. And I think he needs to, personally, I think people should do both. They should have straight bullion and they should have some numismatic stuff. It's a way to hedge your risks. If he wants to just stick with straight bullion, he needs to only buy the stuff with the absolute rock bottom DCA and really, really watch that average. I don't really think poured bars are the best thing. And finally, he needs to get his stack up to 100 ounces as fast as he can because these prices are really moving quickly up and down. They just dropped like 80 cents, 70 cents last week. So now's the time to buy. If this guy's got some extra savings, he might want to throw it into silver at the moment. I think he'll do well.
Or even a tax return, anything like that. Absolutely, I agree 100% with you. I'm in the camp you're in, bud. I'm doing the same thing you're doing as a long-term investment, as a way to stash away money without really thinking about it as stashing away money. What you need to do is you got to buy the absolute cheapest stuff you can buy. What I'd recommend, and this is kind of like my own guideline that I give myself when I go to a bullion dealer to buy silver. I say I want something that's easily recognizable. I want it for as cheap as I can get it, and I want it something that's going to be hard to counterfeit. And a lot of times the Sunshine Mint makes a 10-ounce bar, and that fits my stacking schedule better than pretty much any other bar out there. I have some APMEX bars, and that fits. NTR fits. So there's definitely better options out there. I understand that you're trying to that there's a high premium on those poured bars, and as they get older, they might increase in value. But that's kind of a niche market. You're targeting a niche market. It's a fad, and I don't bank anything on a fad because fads come and go. So will it always be worth silver? Well, yeah, it'll always be worth something. But I'd agree with Jeremy that you probably need to start looking at your DCA and investing in something as cheap as possible.
Yeah, John, what do you think of this new stacker's work, and where do you think he should improve or going forward?
I think with his stated intent for what he wants to do, stop buying anything poured and start buying the cheapest bullion you can get for your stated intent. Then down the road you can diversify with numismatics, sure, but that's a whole other conversation. For your stated purposes, do not buy poured bars. That's it.
Absolutely. All right, Darren, do we have another listener question, or do you think there's anything more we need to cover with this fellow?
This fellow has another comment where he mentions that he works in landscaping, and that 90% of what he spends on bullion he gets in tips. So he doesn't mind paying the higher premiums because he views it as free money and not out of pocket. So he doesn't feel bad. Hey, I do that sometimes when I have what I consider free money. I go all out. But you really have to establish a baseline. What I'd recommend doing would be setting aside a predetermined amount each week out of your paycheck that you know you're going to get, and starting there. Like myself, I've just put myself on a budget of $100 a month because I've done a lot of my bulk purchasing already. I've got kind of my bank of bullion built up already. So I'm doing $100 a month. Whatever spot price is, whatever $100 a month will get me is what I pick up. So I
Well,
feel like if you go ahead.
oh yeah, honestly, it's not free money. That those tips are part of your income that can be expected as a landscaper. So doing what you do, that's kind of an expected part of your income. And if you were doing something else that maybe paid more, it would be different if you found $100 on the side of the road or something. But tips, I mean, that's not free money. That's part of what your pay is doing what you do. So you need to really treat that money just the way you treat your earnings. No money's free money. So if I were in your shoes, I would start going to find a local coin shop that sells 90% junk silver or 80% Canadian junk silver. It's got a pretty low DCA, and start buying that stuff. It's kind of hard to find bullion in most coin shops, but almost all coin shops have junk silver. So yeah, treat your money like it's real money. Don't just throw it away on a laugh or something you think is cool. Not when you're this new to stacking. You need to get around the 100 ounces in your safe at least. John, what do you think?
I think what you said, there is no free money. It's a part of your income. And do exactly what Jake said. I couldn't put it better myself.
All right, Darren. Do you have anything else you wanted to say to this gentleman?
Yeah, I just wanted to wrap up. Say that I'm in agreement with you guys. Every dollar that comes to your hand comes to your hand. You should always try to maximize your investment as best as you possibly can. And I'm just in agreement with you guys.
All right. Do we have another listener question, or does this gentleman have a third question?
I have another question coming in from Chris Hodges. He's asking, should I put everything in airtights or just special rounds?
Well, I mean, it depends on what he has. All of the stuff I get from the Perth Mint's usually already in airtight, so it's no issue. If you're worried about milk spots and stuff, I guess it's a good idea. I honestly, the stuff I really care about is usually already in airtights, so the rest of it that comes in is just straight bullion that I didn't pay much over spot for. So I don't really spend a lot of time on my stack outside of just making sure it doesn't get damaged in my care. I'm busy earning money to buy more silver. I'm not really concerning myself about playing with my current silver. Darren, how about you?
Go ahead, John. I'm working on something real quick here.
Oh, John. Okay.
I won't take questions on airtights. I will not do it. Let's move on to the next subject.
I got something actually I can give to this. I'm good now. When I started stacking, literally everything that came in, I put in airtight. I mean everything, like junk OPM rounds, Buffalo rounds, like every single thing I bought went into an airtight. But that's because where I was coming from. I've never come from money. Everything that I have, I've worked for and I've earned. Mom and dad never handed me anything. My first car I bought. I've never had money, but holding bullion in my hands, it made me feel wealthy. To be honest with you, so I treasured it, and I always tried to protect it. But from a realistic aspect now, what got me away from putting things in bullion really was realizing that I'm paying 40 cents a piece for these airtights, and I could really maximize my savings long term if I were to go away from those. Sorry about that. I'm getting distracted here. I'm
Yeah,
getting
we're
some
getting
feedback from somebody here.
If I can add to that, what I just did with all my generic rounds is I just threw them all into a Crown Royal sack and then walked away. So I just want to throw that out there.
Does anybody have like a TV on in the background or something?
No, I have some background chatter here.
Oh, okay.
It can't be helped.
Understood.
You don't want to mute my mic for a second?
Yeah, I'll mute your mic for a few seconds here.
Oh, that works.
Flash your hands when you're ready to come back on. Okay.
So
Go ahead.
Do we have another listener question, or do we want to do some more on airtights?
No one else has checked in. Oh, here's another question coming in right now. Actually, perfect timing.
Awesome.
Never mind. It says not letting me view. I'm trying to make an account. I have plenty of questions.
Well, tell them to submit the questions on Facebook. We'll get them that way.
Yeah, here. I'm gonna comment on there. Go ahead and submit your questions.
Honestly, my opinion on airtights is the same as yours, Darren. I mean, there's no reason to spend an additional 40 cents per piece of bullion just to make sure it's perfect for all time. And honestly, I don't think airtights always are completely solid in preserving things. I've seen plenty of chipped and broken airtights on coins.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like makes you feel good, working with your bullion a little bit, but there's better ways to spend your time and money. If you have something really great, let's say you have like some really great Libertads you think might be gradable in the future or something, then yeah, I'd throw them in airtights maybe. But outside of that,
nah, it's not worth it. It's pointless. Absolutely
and,
pointless.
And I figure my, those nice plastic coin flips APMEX sends everything in. You take those, then you throw them into, a book. That's pretty well protected. That's 2 or 3 layers of plastic in between the elements in your coin.
Yeah, I take everything out of those little crappy coin flips myself. I prefer tubes. As soon as I get a full tube, I throw it into the safe. So.
I do like tubes as well. I know it's potentially possible for coins to when they clank together to cause small imperfections. So when I have something really I want to preserve for value, I don't put it in a tube. But that's the only time I don't.
That's different. We're talking numismatic values and coins versus bullion. I'm a straight bullion guy. So
yeah, exactly.
So
you don't really care. With my Libertads, I put those in a book because I'm kind of saving those for the future. I think the premiums on those can be pretty nice, and I just like the coin, honestly. They're not that much above spot.
Well, and the cool thing about Libertads is, and I don't think many people know this, and I'm going down a tangent here, but the Libertads, they don't have a face value on them. It's the only coin in the world that does not have a face value, and the reason that they do that is because the value of a Libertad is determined at spot. Like when you go to pay for something with a Libertad, they look up, well, what's the value of silver, and that's what it's worth.
Yeah, the Libertad is the only numismatic piece of numismatic coin that's actually in the economy in Mexico. You can actually buy something with a Libertad. It's a functioning part of their economy, which is awesome, and that's how all bullion coins should be, but sadly they aren't.
Absolutely. And in one argument they are. You could buy something with Silver Eagle, but why the hell would you?
Yeah, you get $50 for $1,300 worth of gold.
Exactly. And so I got a question coming in from one Josh Hall. He wants to know that is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
I have no clue what he's actually asking.
I don't know. I think he's joking around. He seems to be a practical joker. He's commented on a few things of mine. He seems to have a good sense of humor. But I will turn this around on you, Josh, and say if you don't hold it, you don't own it. and that's something that's up for debate. We could debate about that for a couple hours here, but I feel like us three are on the same page on
Yeah,
that.
it would be a pretty boring debate, us crushing the people who disagree with us.
What about you, John? If you,
But the holder, if you own it, or the other one.
if you don't hold it, do you own it?
I've personally seen ETFs and contracts delivered. So yes and no.
I'm in the camp of if you don't have it in your physical hand, you don't physically have it in general.
I mean, I can understand that way of thinking, and I don't fault it. But
Yeah, I figure it's, ETFs deliver until they don't, until they can't. And if I even
yeah,
suspect that an ETF has sold more gold than they actually have on hand, that's when I get real suspicious and want it in my own. Because you don't want to be the greater fool, the guy with the empty bag that has a bunch of useless ETF shares or useless shares with no gold behind them.
You don't
totally,
you don't want to be the guy that has the full fistful of the Norfed banknotes when the government shows up to seize all the assets at Sunshine Mint.
Yeah,
that's,
no.
I don't disagree.
And if you guys if you guys don't know what Norfed is or haven't heard of Norfed, go check them out. There's a nice Wikipedia write up on it, and everything's pretty factual in there. So go look into that. That's an interesting topic.
Another topic that kind of came up this week on our Freebay site that's affiliated with our Silver and Gold Stacker site. It's basically where our sales take place. A gentleman there decided to list a 10-ounce, I think it was an APMEX bar that we'd all bought on sale on eBay for like, what was it, 160 the week before,
Something
Darren?
like that. Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
So if we're off by at all, it's only by $1 or $2. And the gentleman decided to list the bar for 190. Now, in normal view, $30 profit margin, that's not a huge amount, but in the bullion world, it really is. The bullion world lives on 2 to 5% margins at most. And anybody that tries to make a bigger margin than that is really just trying to rip somebody off, because that bar is freely available directly from APMEX for no more than 170 at the time, probably even cheaper than that. And this guy's trying to get 190 out of it. So, folks, we don't have a problem with people not being willing to sell until the price hits 190, but actively trying to sell it at 190 when the price is really at 170, it's kind of a nasty thing to do. It's not a very nice thing. It's not a very honest thing. And so while we won't delete those posts, we will call you out on it, and we'll let people know that it's a bad deal and not to buy from it. So,
And
Darren, what do you think?
I'm all for the free market. I think you have something, you should be able to sell it for whatever you want to sell it for. But I also have the right in this free market to tell people and inform people when you're being an asshat. So $4 premium for something that's generic is ridiculous. And we have a lot of new people coming into this group that are stacking for the first time or recently started stacking, and they don't always know what's best. And as an admin, I try to protect those new people, and by doing this podcast, we're trying to help and educate those people as well, because it is the consumer's job to know what is a good deal and what is not a bad deal. And if you're going to come into my groups and try to take advantage of people, I'm not going to allow it. So it's not going to happen on my clock, okay? Now, I would have been fine with this guy listing it for like 170, 175, 180 maybe. I could see somebody listing it for 180. That's not unheard of. But $190, he was clearly trying to take advantage of the situation or of people. The same gentleman, and I'm not going to say his name, but the same gentleman later razzed that same bar for $180. So that tells me that he knew his price point was way too high to begin with. When you're asking a Raz price for 180, he could have probably razzed it for 190, and it would have gone through, or even 200. And I'd also like to quote this gentleman. He says, "I'm not selling for the same price as Providence. Sorry, I'm not a dealer." Okay, well that's the thing. You're not a dealer. Okay, so you're now competing with a dealer who can give you better prices, who can insure the package, secure the delivery of it. And I personally, at this point in time, when you see somebody shady like that, I would recommend 100% going to a dealer. Don't be dealing with private people, especially if you're new to stacking. If you're new to stacking, don't be dealing with private individuals. You will get taken advantage of. You will get ripped off. It's just not if but when. So that's kind of my two bits on it. I don't want to beat a dead horse here and keep saying the same thing over and over. Um, just be careful out there, and again, I'm not trying to set a market price where you guys can sell, or a price point for you guys to sell at. You sell it for whatever you want, but if you're listing a bar that's $4 over spot for something generic that anybody can go pick up at a bullion dealer for $3 over spot less than what you're charging, I'm going to call you out on it. So.
Absolutely. John, what do you think of this issue?
Sell it for whatever you want. Don't be surprised when I completely wreck you over it and ridicule you and just put you on blast. So whatever you want, but I will be there to see it. So don't be that way.
Yeah, I kind of ripped into this guy because I was pretty. First of all, he called me bud, and I don't like it when people try talking down to me. I mean, yeah. I'm no dummy. Nobody in this group is a dummy. So he immediately got me irritated. So I ripped into him pretty good. Folks, I don't usually do that. I only do that when I think somebody's trying to be an asshole or rip somebody off. So, yeah, it was an interesting episode, kind of a microcosm of what's happening in the gold and silver world right now. There's I believe it's Northwest Territorial Mint on a much greater scale, kind of having some problems. I posted a link to that in the Facebook group a few days ago, and apparently they're taking plenty of orders. They haven't stopped taking orders, but they seem to have problems shipping orders. So, folks, if you're shopping around, maybe go with APMEX, Provident Metals, JM Bullion, Shift Gold. I mean, there's quite a few places that are honest, that will actually deliver the metal to you. The places I've just mentioned, I've bought, I think, from all of them except for JM, and the other guys on the podcast have bought from JM. So I can personally attest that I sent the money, they sent my stuff. And just ask if you're looking to buy something. Just ask around, see if any of us have dealt with this dealer, see if there was any issues. Believe me, we'll tell you if there were. And
it's always easier to protect your money before it's out there than it is to try to get it back after it is.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the Silverbugs group a few months back, and some guy had sent, I believe it was Northwest Territorial Mint, like $50,000, and it had been 3 months and he still hadn't gotten his metal. I mean, I can't believe anybody would risk that much money over an operation that's been in trouble in the past.
Yeah, nope, not this guy.
No.
Before this whole ordeal took place, I won't say his name, but he can jump in at any time. He's a member of our group, Stackers group. He's not shy about it either, but I'll leave it up to him. I think they held like $3,000 of his money hostage for months at a time. So you know who you are. You can jump in here if you want to identify yourself. So yeah, stay away from Northwest Territorial Mint unless it's on the secondary market.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I got a few questions rolling in, and we're actually getting short on time here. I'd like to get a few more of these answered before we end this thing. Giovanni Gaspero is checking in. He's saying he can't view either. It seems to be a few people having a viewing issue tonight. We're going to look into that and see if we can't improve that in the long term. He says he wants to know the cheapest way to protect coins and bars, and if it's just for investment in the actual silver, does it even matter? No. If it's just silver, here's my best advice for you. You don't pay to protect it from fingerprints or anything like that, because if you're going to sell it, you're going to probably end up selling it for spot price anyway. That's all these buyback prices are that these places are buying it back at. Unless you plan on selling it on the secondary market again yourself to another private holder, I wouldn't worry one bit about fingerprint smudges, the toning, anything like that, because if you're just buying it for the weight, to hold it for the weight, and you're going to sell it for the weight, you're only going to get spot price out of it anyway. That's my 2 bits. What do you guys have?
Well, you know what the cheapest way to protect your just raw bullion is? It's a $3 pair of cotton gardening gloves. Put them on. And use them when you're handling your silver. I mean, keep your silver in a safe. Don't handle it unless you absolutely have to. And when you do, wear gloves. I mean, it's pretty simple. I have stacks of machinist gloves in my basement that I rotate. Once a year, I'll change them out, and that's what I used to handle my silver bullion. Just because I think it looks better without fingerprints. But that's a
And
personal choice.
and two, if you're actually looking for something to put it into that is airtight, the cheapest thing is Ziploc bags. They're non-plasticized. I'm not real sure what the chemical makeup is on them, but they are not PVC. So Ziploc bags.
So, John, how do you protect your silver? Do you really put it in anything
This,
at all?
um, if it's something special, yeah, I'll airtight it. But this is an airtight question, and stop it.
He protects his silver with Crown Royal bags.
Yeah, I wish I had it on hand. I have 3 or 4 handfuls jammed into a Crown Royal bag right now, generic bullet.
That's awesome.
I wouldn't hesitate to throw it at my dog or my son either. So,
All right, Jeremy Hench is checking in with another question. He says, "I collect scrap 925 jewelry. Am I better off holding to it or holding on to it for its value, or selling at my local coin shop for credit on bullion?"
Hold on to it. Every time you do a transaction, you lose weight, or you have to pay extra money in order to complete that transaction. So just throw it in a bag. Don't look at it. Count it in your weight when you're adding up what your stack is, and ignore it. If you don't love owning that, start buying bullion, but don't sell what you already have, because every time you sell, unless it's already booked as a profit, you're going to lose. And even if it is booked as a profit, you're still losing because you have to pay another premium to buy something else.
Well,
So
I want to answer this a little differently. Um, Finally, we disagree on something here.
absolutely.
Personally, my opinion on this 925, and my question is, it's kind of a loaded answer here. So, how are you getting this 925 jewelry? Are you buying it from other people? Because I'll be honest with you, typically places only when you trade in jewelry 925, they only give you like 80%, 90% what spot is or less. So that might be one of the things you have to do is change how much you're paying for it, and then it could be economically feasible for you to trade it in. Um, because my thing is I don't like holding on to small little scrap junk bullion junk crap. I like to get rid of that and get something that's processed into my safe, that's clearly marked what it is. So it's kind of a
Yeah.
different of opinion. It's whatever you want to do, Jeremy. If your prerogative is to have 10-ounce bars in your safe, then trade it in and get 10-ounce bars. But I would never lose money on the deal, is what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah, I actively disagree on this with Darren because I have a bunch of scrap in one of my safes that's just waiting for price of silver to go way up, and then I'll send it in for scrap. That's kind of my fun money when the price finally goes up, in my eyes. But I have plenty of space in my safe right now, so I don't really mind having a couple bags of old scrap sterling silver. But yeah, it's all about what you want in your stack. Um, it's what it comes down to. And also look into sending the stuff directly in. I believe Elemental will buy it from you direct. It's You're potentially able to get a much better price if you're willing to send it directly to the places that will melt it instead of going through a middleman. And stay the hell away from those buyback places. We buy silver and gold in like malls and stuff. They will rip
absolutely.
you off. But yeah, look to see if you can send it directly into the smelter.
And those
John.
those places those places take advantage of people anyway. They count on people not coming in knowing what spot price is.
Yeah. Yeah, John, do you have any
Sorry.
thoughts on what this gentleman should do?
if you're buying 925, for the love of God, stop it. As cheap as silver is, and if you have it, I'd say hold it. Hold it until it gets much higher.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's
My
probably
thing.
buying this stuff for under spot. He might be getting it from consignment shops, that type of place. I've certainly
That's
bought.
one thing. Yeah,
I
that's one thing.
the only way I'll buy sterling is if I get it for way under spot and it's a mistake somebody's making, or I'm paying 80% or 90% of spot. And that's with the 92.25 calculation put in.
Yeah,
You know.
right.
So yeah, do we
Okay.
have any more listener questions, Darren?
I've got two more, and then I'm gonna cut them off after these listener questions. So we're not gonna take any more questions after these. Um,
Okay.
we got one from Jeremy Dunn. He's also one of our co-hosts. We got two, both of them are actually from him. The first one is why do some people get into metals and thinking they're going to make quick profits? Um, that's the pump and dump. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. They bought it. They bought into the sales pitch of somebody that made it out more than what it is. They got it's the pump and dump, and that is so huge in the industry of silver bullion.
Yeah, there's so many people spouting BS on TV, just blowhards that are really in it to sell you something and then forget about you. And those people will sell you, a Morgan dollar for $50 and not even think twice about it. If you don't know, Morgan scrap should be going for around 19 to 20, 21 at most. In good condition, as much as 25 or 30. And some of the collectible CCs, which means Carson City, those can go for quite a bit of money in the hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, but depending on the year. So, but you have to really be conscious of people that are selling you a line. Join these groups. Don't buy right away. Hang around for a few weeks, few months. Listen to what people have to say. Ask lots of questions. And if you decide this is still for you, this is still a good idea where you want to put your money, then start buying from reputable dealers. Ask us what we are buying and kind of copy what we're doing. This is not a short-term play. I'm in this play for probably 50 years. When I retire, I'll start really using the money to fund my lifestyle. How about you, Darren?
You know, you're not going to get rich quick off of metals. This really is a how do I want to word it? I'm stumbling on my words here, guys. It's a commodity. That's what I'm trying to say. You got people out there claiming that it's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. The reality is, at the end of the day, nobody knows except the people that are manipulating it. Nobody knows what it's going to do from day to day. You can take guesses, you can make guesses, you can make educated guesses, but at the end of the day, you can't sit here and say silver is going to be $1,000 next month or next year. You have no idea. Nobody has any idea. So the people that are telling you that kind of thing are the pump and dumpers.
Yeah, folks. So, John, do you have anything to close up on your opinion of silver investing for the long term or short term, as the case might be?
It's a long-term thing. Anybody who's in this short term has never done one iota of homework on it. And $1,000 silver. Do you have any $1,000 silver? I have no use in hearing that nonsense.
Yeah,
That's all I have to say about that.
that's definitely a topic of controversy among us stackers. It's a dream. If it happens, who knows what the world will be like, and if it doesn't happen, who knows what the world will be like. I have no clue where the price is going, and neither does anybody else. I can look at some of the trends. I can look at some of the shenanigans that are being pulled in the COMEX, but I still don't know what the natural price of silver actually is. I know what it is now is not the natural price. It's not the price that it should be at, but who knows? I mean, I just feel like silver is going to go up. I've taken a lot of time to study Austrian economics. Something I suggest you folks do. Check out the Mises Institute. They're the place to study economics if you want to really learn why we're buying silver and gold. And stack if it convinces you. Stack if you have a reason to stack, and don't expect to be rich anytime soon, if ever. All right, Darren, do you have anything else you want to add, or should we close up this week's podcast?
We're 10 minutes over on our 30-minute target there, so I think we should go ahead and wrap it up here.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Silver and Gold Collector and Stacker podcast. Please give us any questions you have for next week. We'll be around to take them. And please make sure you join the Facebook group if you haven't already. We're more than happy to have you. It's a real friendly bunch of folks. And have a great week.
Deuces.